feeling it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm feeling it. Another Andrei Jikh roast. Welcome back to Strongman Personal Finance. My name is Christopher Bentley. I'm a certified CPA accountant. I'm a fake boglehead investor. I'm author of the book, Stop Being a Broke Loser. It's all names down. And we got to talk about Andrei Jikh in his most recent video about bonds. So apparently, I don't know if y'all knew this, but bonds have had a pretty bad year. I just looked at bOnD and it's down like 17%. Now remember, bonds are supposed to be a source of stability. When you get older, you transition your portfolio to bonds and you're able to weather the fluctuations of the market by having this stable source of money. So Andrei Jikh made this video where he tries to explain, how bonds are valued and why bonds go down when interest rates go up. And in the video, he's like, oh, well, the math is too complex and it'd be too hard to explain. But basically, all you gotta know is that when interest rates go up, bond prices go down. You know why he said that? Because that freaking clown doesn't know how to calculate a bond's value. Let me tell you how it's done, ladies and gentlemen. It's really easy. And I'll be reacting to his video. And I'll even show you guys later on tonight, or maybe tomorrow if I get too freaking tired. What is this idiot doing? Go, moron. Ugh. The fuck? Ugh. Anyway, sorry. Guy's just like parked in the middle of the road. He's got a Dave Ramsey sticker in the back of his freaking car. Anyway, bonds their value is calculated by taking all of their future cash flows and discounting them by the market interest rate. That's all you gotta freaking do, okay? And what happens is, let's say you have a bond, you buy a bond that's paying 1%. It pays 1% annually. Let's say it just pays one coupon payment every year on the first of the year. Well, let's say interest rates, market interest rates, suddenly change to 2%. Well, are you gonna go ahead and be able to sell that bond, that 1% bond, at its face amount? No, you're not going to be able to. Why? Because why would somebody buy a bond that pays 1% for the same price that you could buy a bond for 2% on the market? Because interest rates change. Well, the only way you're going to sell that 1% bond, unless you're selling it to a moron, I'm sure Jeremy would probably buy the bond from me. The only way you can sell that bond is if you sell it at a discount. So that's kind of how it works. Now, all a bond is an entity needs to borrow money. So what they do is you give them money. Let's say the bond's a $10,000 bond. You give them $10,000. They give you a piece of paper. Just imagine a piece of paper with little strips on it called coupons. And the bond has a term, it has a maturity date, it has interest rate, face amount, all that stuff. And what happens is, the borrower pays you periodic interest payments, whatever's stipulated on the bond in the bond's covenants. And then at the end of the bond's life, the maturity date, the borrower pays back the original $10,000. So your cash flows for a bond are the periodic interest payments and then the return of principal. Now, another thing you got to keep in mind is that the longer the duration of the bond, the more sensitive it is to interest rates. Compare a bond that is a 5-year bond versus a 30-year treasury, okay? The 5-year bond, you're gonna get those interest payments and then the principal repaid within 5 years. With a 30-year treasury, for example, you're gonna get 30 years of interest, assuming you hold the bond, and then at the end of the 30 years, you're gonna get that face amount back. Now think about it. Think about inflation, the effect of inflation on that bond. A 30-year bond. Let's say inflation's 7% per year and you're getting 3% interest. Well, that principal repayment that you get back is going to be massively devalued. So that gets factored in. But if you think about it, if interest rates change, let's say market rates are 3% and then suddenly they go to 10%. Well, you're discounting the bond's future cash flows at the market rate. So that change in market rates increases the discount factor. And that lowers the present value massively Because the further out you get, the higher your present value factor is, the more you're dividing that principal or coupon payment by. So the whole point of this is, number one, Andrei doesn't know what he's talking about. Okay, he has no idea how to calculate a bond's value. How do I know it? I mean, I had to do it like in accounting a bunch. Not for my job, but just in school. It's actually not that hard. Present value, the future cash flows. But Andrei's a freaking idiot, okay? Here's what you need to know about bonds. Should you potentially have bonds or consider buying bonds when you get closer to retirement? Yes. However, you got to consider the current interest rate environment and the risks that interest rates can go up. Because if you're buying 30-year treasuries, oh, it's a bond, and it's got a high yield. Yield by yield. You could get absolutely freaking annihilated if interest rates go up. So my plan in retirement, I'm going to have short-term bonds. Now, will I get a lower interest rate? Absolutely. But that's the whole point. I don't really care about the return of the bond. The bond is basically a cash equivalent. Probably pays a little bit higher interest rate than a savings account. But I don't want it to fluctuate massively in value. And the longer the term of the bond, the more sensitive it is to interest rates. Go compare bND, the ETF bND, to TLT. TLT is down 30-something% in the last year. bND is only down, what, 18%? Why? Because the maturity of the bonds in TLT are way further out in the future, okay? So don't think you can just run to freaking bonds and they're going to protect you. When interest rates go up, bond prices go down. When interest rates go down, bond prices go up. They're inversely correlated. But if you don't want to worry about that, buy a short-term bond, okay? Or an ETF. That's what I'm going to do. I'm not saying you have to do that. You could do I-bonds. I'm not a fan of those. You could just park the money in checking. I'm probably not going to do that. There's lots of safe havens that don't wildly fluctuate based on changes in interest rates. Interest rates are the #1 risk when it comes to bonds. The #1. And if you sit there and you think bonds are safe, and I've said this before, go look at my old videos. Bonds are not safe in a rising interest rate environment. Sure, you can get new bonds with higher coupons, higher yields, but if you're holding a bond ETF, you're going to get freaking wrecked, okay? So later on tonight, like I said, if I have time, I will actually do a bond calculation, and I'll show you how interest rates affect the bonds. And I'll show you how the further out the future cash flows are, the more you freaking lose as interest rates go down or go up. And last but not least, I actually bought a short a long time ago against TLT, the long-term treasuries, and I feel like a genius. But this is a great example of how market timing is stupid. I looked at the current environment. I saw inflation, I saw clown stocks, I saw money printing back in the day. And I was like, man, you know what? Eventually they're going to have to raise interest rates. Inflation's out of control, or there's going to be inflation. They're going to raise rates, and TLT is going to be absolutely wrecked because they have their long duration bonds. And I was right. I was 100% right. TLT's down 30%. But I actually just got rid of my put because I bought it way too freaking early. I was 100% right. I mean, it's easy to say, oh, inflation, interest rates are going to go up? No way. But I bought it too early, and I probably would have lost everything on the put that I bought by buying it too early. So just don't time the market. Even I do stupid stuff. Okay, I should have just put that in VT. But you live and you learn. All right, guys. Cheers.